Hey there, Kingsley here. Thanks for joining me on this video broadcast. Today, we'll be unpacking the topic of 5 powerful strategies for dealing with insecurities in your marriage. Now, the issue of insecurity is a normal part of any relationship. Most people in relationships experience some form of insecurity. So really, insecurity is really not the issue. The issue is when those insecurities become so all-consuming, right? The thing that constantly is on the top of your mind, that is the issue. Because it creates a lot of tension and strain, as you may have already been experiencing, a lot of tension and strain on your marriage. I cannot tell you how many couples I have counseled with, and when the issue of insecurity becomes a part of the conversation or the reason why they're there, because one spouse may say, he is so insecure or she is so insecure, right? That becomes the issue that's driving the conversation or the relationship. It really is what they're experiencing that I've just said, the tension, the frustration, the feeling as if they just cannot somehow continue because it's too much, right? It's just too much. Everything is seen through a certain lens because of the insecurity. So put a strain on the relationship, and you may have been experiencing that or maybe experiencing that even right now, right? So in this video, we'll be exploring 5 powerful strategies that actually probably you as well, but it's often overlooked for managing insecurities issues, and then not only managing it but fostering a deeper connection with your partner. So when there's insecurity in your relationship, whether it's you or your partner, you're going to find these 5 powerful strategies, and especially number 5, you're going to see where it's more of a practical, personal one in nature, even though the others are as well. But number 5, I think, is one of my favorites, and I'll share with you that when I get there. Now, these strategies are practical, they're actionable, and they can help you build a stronger, more loving relationship, a happier marriage, if you will. So if you're ready to overcome your fears and strengthen your marriage, then stay tuned for some very valuable insights and tips on how to do that. Now, if you're hearing me for the first time and wondering, who am I to be speaking on topics like this one? Let me just say, I'm Kingsley Grant, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a certified relationship coach. I've been doing this for umpteenth years now, and I've literally seen hundreds, coached and counseled hundreds and hundreds of couples over the past several years. And even having been married for myself, my own personal journey, being married for over 3 decades, almost 4 decades, I think I'm more than qualified to talk about topics like this with confidence, right? And I hope that you will come to realize and probably appreciate that I'm speaking from a place of experience, not just professional, but also personal as well. Let me also recommend that you listen to my podcast at happiermarriagesecrets.com/podcast. And there you'll get a chance to see a lot of more of my thought process in a longer fashion and format, where you can hear and take me on the walk with you, take me on your run, take me in your car, and you don't have to sit down and watch like this video. So you can be consuming the things I talk about in the podcast at happiermarriagesecrets.com/podcast, and you have access to all the past episodes there as well. And I can tell you there's some good ones there as well. You also have access to the blogs that follows the podcast there as well. Now, at the end of this video, I'll share with you how to get access to some free resources that I have to offer. So let's dive into today's topic, the 5 powerful strategies for dealing with insecurities in your marriage. By the way, if you would like to get instant feedback on the state of your marriage and what to do about it, even though you may say, I have a good idea what's going on in my marriage, why would I need a feedback? Well, surprisingly, sometimes it's hard to put words their script around what's really happening. You know there's something happening in your marriage. You know there are challenges. You know things are not well. But it's like, I can say I know things are not well with me because my body feels a certain way. So I know that. I know that part. However, why do I go to the doctor? I want to confirm some things or even find out and discover some things I did not know that exist at that time. And that's the same thing with I'm suggesting here. If you want to get a better feel of your marriage and where it's at, I want to recommend that you take the Happier Marriage Assessment Quiz. Now, you can do so in less than 90 seconds, and you will have an immediate score, and then you'll be given an immediate access to a downloadable PDF that explains what those score means, right? Now, if this interests you, you can take the short quiz at happiermarriagesecrets.com/quiz, happiermarriagesecrets.com/quiz. The link will be in the description that follows this video. So what are the 5 powerful strategies for dealing with insecurities in your marriage? Well, here's the first one that I'm going to mention. And the first one is cultivate. One of the strategies is to cultivate mindfulness. Now, there's a lot being said about mindfulness, about how to practice mindfulness. And to tell you the truth, I have done that in the past. I do not do that currently as of this recording. So I want to be upfront with you, but I have done it. I have done it for a good period of time where each morning I would do meditation. And so I was practicing mindfulness. And there are some challenges with that. If you've ever done that, you know what I'm talking about. There's some challenges, especially if you don't understand what it's about and why you're doing what you're doing. Because sometimes in that moment where you're practicing mindfulness, you are judging yourself, right? You are in judgment mode because you find yourself strained in your thoughts and so on. But practicing mindfulness and with mindful activities or such as yoga or meditation, that will give you a chance to be more in touch, in tune with yourself. And because it's very important, if you're the insecure one, that you want to be able to do this practice so you can become more attuned to yourself. And you want to develop an awareness of your own thoughts and feelings, right? Observe them without judgment. That's the key part. Do so without judgment. How often are we judging ourselves and criticizing our thoughts? And remember, a thought is just a thought, and that's it. It's not reality. A thought is just a thought, and that's it. It's not reality until you make it so. So when I do counseling or coaching, I will challenge in this area. I would just tell my clients that, hey, listen, the thought you're having is simply a thought. Treat it as just a thought that has entered into the space, and as it enter, let it also exit that space, right? So whenever you notice a feeling of insecurity arising, take a few deep breaths and ask yourself, what triggered that? Where possibly that might be coming from? And after you've observed it, just let it pass without acting on it. That's a key piece right there. Just let it pass. It's not as easy. And you're right, it's not as easy as it sounds, but with practice, especially if you want to overcome this idea of insecurity, well, why wouldn't you practice this? Why would you say it's not as easy and immediately put a roadblock in possibly breaking through this insecurity that's causing problems and strain and tension in your marriage? So the first one is cultivate mindfulness. The second one is develop self-compassion. It's amazing how many of us are so lacking in the area of compassion for ourselves. We are so compassionate for other people and find it so much easier. But when it comes to us, we are least compassionate, least patient, least kind to ourselves, right? And so by developing self-compassion is start by recognizing and acknowledging that, as I mentioned, everyone has insecurities. So remember, it's not just you. You're not the only person dealing with insecurities. And that it's okay to feel them. It's just a feeling. A feeling is a feeling is a feeling, right? It's neither right nor wrong. It's just a feeling. So remember that it's just a feeling you're having. And then when you're having that, be kind and understanding towards yourself, right? Especially when you're feeling very vulnerable. Be less critical and judgmental of yourself during those times. Be kind. And then treat yourself with some level of care and empathy, right? With level of care and empathy. Again, it's so amazing how we treat so many people in a way that we wish we could treat ourselves, right? We want that ourselves. So treat yourself with some same level of care and empathy that you would offer to a dear friend or a family who is struggling. This is important to develop self-compassion is another strategy. Number 3, and I've mentioned this in other settings as well, about communicating openly and honestly, right? Be honest with your feelings. Be honest with what is going on in you. Don't try to hide behind it. Especially as men, for us, it's hard because we want to appear strong and macho and not weak. So we've got to be able to put this foot, a good foot forward and always be in that mode. And it's unsustainable. It's hard because we need to then, we don't communicate our feelings honestly. We hide. What's wrong? Nothing. How are you today? I mean, I'm great. And when you're really not. So create a safe space in your relationship where both you and your spouse can share your fears and your concerns without judgment. I talk about this in one of my podcasts. You may, as I mentioned, go there and talk and listen to that about creating emotional safety. How do you create an emotional safe space? That is very important. And you can go back to my podcast and listen to that episode. I also talk about in the past about using I statements. What are you experiencing? What is it that you're experiencing? Can you articulate your own feelings without somehow shifting the blame and make it about the other person? This is an area that people lack. A lot of couples, our spouse lacks, and that is, how do you share your feelings from an I position? Meaning that, for example, I feel scared about whatever is coming up. I'll give a quick example. I'm going to be having as of this recording, I'm having an outpatient surgery that's coming up very soon. It's nothing too serious. It's in 30 minutes, and I'll be under anesthesia. But the point is that the surgery will be very, very short. Now, a person may ask me, how do I feel about that, and what's that like for me? And I can tell you, and I'll be honest here, I have no fear about that. And here's one of the main reasons why I have no fear is my faith in God. That's my number one reason of why I do not fear about that, because God is in control. He has my life. And so I don't fear that. So if a person asks me, I can tell them, as I've just shared with you explicitly, that I don't have a fear about that aspect of it, right? So because God is in control. But however, I could say when they're doing a biopsy and I don't know what the results will be, again, it's in God's hand. So I don't waver in that regard. But some people may have may not be like me, and I'm not putting myself as the measurement. I'm simply saying that's how it is for me. But other times I may have some fear about certain things. I remember a time I was fearful about our finances a few years ago. In recent years, I remember I would share with my wife how I felt. I felt vulnerable. I felt like, as a man, husband, provider for my family, I really wasn't sure what was going to happen. Where we were going to get our next money, because I wasn't working because of the COVID and all of that stuff, as you may be very much aware, and you may have had those. But I was able to share what it was for me and recognize the importance of letting my wife know how I felt and what my thoughts were. So I use I statements, and why it's important if I felt worried or concerned or fearful. So when you're using I statements, express how you feel, what's going on with you, rather than blaming or criticizing your partner about, you are doing this to me, you make me feel this way, I'm so mad because you did this, right? I could say, I am mad when I think about how you expressed or said this or did that to me. That's I statement, and what I felt as a result of. And I have a lot of training about this, how I train about a formula I've created to help you to express I statements, but I've done that in other settings. But just suffice it to say, use I statements and listen actively show empathy when your partner is expressing their insecurities, right? So you want to make sure if they're experiencing the insecurities and sharing that with you, be very open and listen attentively and do active listening. Number 4, focus on building trust. Now, trust is a very broad term and it's used in so many different settings. And most times people hear the word trust, they think about infidelity and then that, in the, outside the marriage. But there could be the trust issue about, can I trust you with your words, with the finances? Can I trust you with me? Can I trust you with me having my back? So trust can take on a whole life of itself. But be consistent in your words and actions and follow through on your promises so that you can be a trustworthy person, right? Be transparent and honest, again, about your feelings and intentions. Can you be trusted to share honestly about how you feel, all right? Avoid keeping secrets or hiding things from your spouse. And prioritize honesty and openness. This is a challenge. It's not easy. I've had periods in my time, in my marriage, where I know my wife had a trust issue with me because I was not forthcoming in certain things. And it's not that I was hiding things per se. I just really was trying to figure things out in my own head as a man. And my culture would say, that's how you're supposed to do it. You don't burden anybody else with your problems. You don't share that. You, as a man, as I'm from Jamaica. If you don't hear you hear my accent, but as my culture would say, you figure it out. Because I saw my dad. He did the very same thing. We never hear him having things about his worry because, again, it's a weakness idea. So for me, I had to work through that and realize that it was still withholding certain things, even though I may have had well-intentioned behind what I was doing, it still wasn't helping. And then I had to learn that and become better at that. So focus on building trust with your relationship with your partner. Before I share with you the 5th strategy for dealing with insecurities in your marriage, which I believe is the most important of the 5, I want to ask you to do 3 quick things, right? Here we go. Number 1, smash that subscribe button below. Go ahead and smash the subscribe button. Number 2, hit that like button. If you're liking what you've heard so far, hit that like button. And number 3, click on the notification bell. So you'll be notified of every new releases that I do on this channel, and you don't want to miss what's ahead, especially in this series that we're doing, as I mentioned before. Now, the 5th strategy is develop your own identity. Pursue your own interests and hobbies outside of your relationship. Now, using the word outside of the relationship, it may somehow seem that I'm suggesting that you do things without your spouse or without their kind of permission or approval. The word permission may sound, I don't need the permission from I'm an adult. I have heard that many times. I get it. But the point is that you respect your relationship. So you want to make sure you have talked about this and decided of how it will look going forward. So you want to be able to develop your own identity around your own hobbies and interests that you might find that your spouse may not be interested in, and that's okay. But you develop that because you're going to bring that back and the energy back to your relationship. Set personal goals, right? Professional and personal goals, and work towards achieving them. And it may not involve your partner. I have some personal goals that I'm working on that doesn't involve my wife, because I believe it's important that I develop myself in these areas. And what happens when I do, it becomes attractive to her. So I need to, and she does the very same thing as well. And it's the same result of her developing herself in that regards. Invest in your own self-growth. I cannot tell you how important this is. You are important. You invest in others, you invest in everything else. Why not invest in your own self-growth and development, right? And then celebrate your successes and achievements. I have recently created a tool that is in the form of a pack of cards for couples, and I'll tell you more about that. I'm doing an unboxing actually after this recording, I'll be doing an unboxing. So you want to make sure you follow that and see the unboxing of this product that I've created just for you. And I'll just leave it at that, but it's a very important one that I think it would be very good for your relationship and others as well. So let me go over the 5 strategies that I believe for that helps in the area of insecurities in your marriage. Number 1, cultivate mindfulness. Number 2, develop self-compassion. Number 3, communicate openly and honestly. Number 4, focus on building trust. And number 5, develop your own identity. I would love to hear from you which of these 5 strategies that were most helpful to you. Which of those stood out most to you? Which of them resonated most with you? And also, what's most helpful as you listened? What you found most helpful as you listened to this video broadcast today? Please comment below. I would love to hear from you, right? Make sure you subscribe, but also comment below. And you could DM me on any social media so we can also have a conversation as well. But I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to listen, to be with me, to support me, to subscribe to the show, and to share this with others as well. I want to say thank you in advance for that. So thanks for watching. And before you go, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, and click on the notification bell so you don't miss on any of the videos that will be posted on this channel, right? And remember to listen to the Happier Marriage Secrets podcast. And you can go have that by happiermarriagesecrets.com, and you'll find the podcast and the blogs that's posted there as well. Now, so as you can see, the links were mentioned will be found in the description below. So you can find all the links I mentioned today. And I want to encourage you to take that quiz now. Go to happiermarriagesecrets.com/quiz. Take the quiz right now and get the downloadable PDF. Okay. So thanks again for listening. With that said, my friend, let's go and make marriages happier again. Thanks for watching and being a part of this channel and what's happening here in Kingsley's world. Again, I truly appreciate that. Thank you so very much. God bless. I'll see you on the next video broadcast.